call this commission clerk meeting to attention. We will have roll call, please.
Dominic, Johnson, Williams, Lynn, Bowman, Baker, Hitch, Escalade, Thibodeau, Cox, Smith, Epperson. We have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. We will have prayer by Commissioner Smith and pledge by Commissioner Thibodeau.
Heavenly Father, we pause to give you thanks for our country. Thank you, Father, for our city and our parish. Father, we pray that everything we do will bring honor and glory to our Savior, Jesus Christ. For it is in His name I pray. Amen. Come in. Join me in pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Citizens' comments. Citizens who wish to address the commission must fill out a comment card and forward it to the president or to the clerk of commission. Comments by any citizen will be limited to 3 minutes. Don't have any cards? Do you have any cards?
I have none.
Okay, any visitors?
No visitors.
Administration report.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Wilson.
Good evening, commissioners. We have a couple of reports today for you. We have Ms. Valerie Gunn is our purchasing manager, and she works with the Northwest Economic Development Partnership. And we have a guest today I'd like to introduce to you all. So Valerie, would you come forward and introduce our guest, please?
Good afternoon. I would like to introduce the new president of NLEP, Mr. Scott Martinez. Scott is a native of Laurel, Mississippi, and holds a bachelor's degree from Ole Miss, as well as a master's of science degree in economic development from the University of Southern Mississippi. Scott has more than 15 years of economic leadership, where the last 5 years he has served as the executive director of the Hutto Economic Development Corporation in the Austin, Texas region. Currently, I sit on the board as your representative of the board of directors of NLEP, where I co-chair the External Relations Committee. And I look forward to working with Scott and his staff by promoting the 14 parishes in North Louisiana as a desirable business location. I would like to welcome Scott to our community, and at this time, ask Scott to please come forward.
Thank you so much. Commission, thank you so much for having me here this afternoon. As Valerie said, I'm Scott Martinez. I'm the new president of the North Louisiana Economic Partnership. I'm entering my second month in this position, and I'm really excited about the opportunities we have going forward. We have an office here in Shreveport, 2 blocks from here on Texas Street, as well as an office in Monroe. Obviously, I think some of our best opportunities are here in Caddo Parish. I've been amazed at we've got the prettiest, ugliest buildings you've ever seen from an industrial standpoint. Let me tell you why. They're beautiful buildings, but they're empty. It's incumbent upon me and our organization to work with this parish commission to get those buildings full and jobs in those buildings. I came here, like I said, January 1. I didn't come here to accept the status quo. We're going to shake things up. We're going to look at what we're doing as an organization. Are we being the most effective we can be with the resources we're giving us? And are we being as aggressive as we need to be to tell the story of North Louisiana? Caddo Parish is our most populous parish and has, from my perspective, the most eminent economic development opportunities. There are areas where we're doing pretty well in, and there are areas I think we can really enhance, but we've got to roll up our sleeves and be more aggressive and more focused in what we do. For instance, I think we've got greater opportunities in aerospace, with just some of the assets we have at the airport and some of those things. We're a 14 parish regional organization. We can't be all things to all people, but we can highlight the best of the region and capitalize on some of the opportunities that we have that are most eminent. And I think our most eminent opportunities, and I'm not saying it because I'm standing before you today, are in Caddo Parish. And there's just more people here, there's more resources, but we've got to work with y'all to make sure we're capitalizing on those resources. Dr. Wilson's been very good historically with working with our group on incentives. whether it was working at the port and doing some other things. Obviously, that happened before I got here. But expect a lot over the next quarter to 6 months. We're going to look at what we do, and you're going to see some changes. We're going to be much more aggressive, as I said earlier, in what we do. Economic development to me is obviously about capital investment and jobs, but I think it gets beyond that. You have to look at the personal and how it impacts people's lives. You know, it's very sterile for me to sit up here and say we're going to do X amount of capital investment and create so many jobs. I think the real story of economic development is giving someone an opportunity to go provide for themselves and their family. I think with BIPSI and some of the other resources we have here in higher education, we can do that. Oftentimes, I don't think we've connected the dots in an effective way. And I think it's all of our responsibility to do that. And rest assured, I'm going to be looking at everything we're doing and how we can do the best job and be the best North Louisiana and the best Caddo Parish we can be from an economic development standpoint. I don't think we're telling our story in an effective way. I live in Caddo Parish. My main office is in Caddo Parish. When I drive up Clyde Fant Parkway in the mornings, it's not dissimilar from what I left in Austin. When you go into downtown Austin, you see people jogging along Lady Bird Johnson Lake. When I drive into downtown Shreveport, I see people jogging along the Red River. Sometimes I think we're our own worst self-critics when we look at what we have. One of the things that's irritated me the most since I got here, when people have heard I moved from Austin to North Louisiana, they said, why'd you do that? They should have said, what took you so long? We've got to believe in ourselves, but and think realistically. I don't think we've really, I don't think we're doing the job we need to do. You're going to see some changes. It's not all rainbows and puppy dogs and people jogging along the river. We've got to roll up our sleeves and do some real work, and I'm here to do my part. And I look forward to working with y'all and being a good partner for this commission.
Thank you.
I'll be happy to talk with any of y'all at any time, but I feel really fortunate to be here working with y'all.
Mr. Martinez, we have one, Commissioner Williams would like to.
I'll just say welcome to Caddo Parish, and we're open for business. Excited about all the exciting things going in Caddo Parish and North Louisiana. We look forward to partnering up with you, the business partners, and look forward to working together with you on capital investment and projects, especially in North Louisiana, with all the excitement going on in North. Three commissioners are represented on myself, Commissioner Johnson, and esteemed commissioner here, Dominique. Look forward to with I-49, and we're looking for growth in that area, and we hope to plan to be proactive and plan together about the future of Northwest Louisiana. So on behalf of District 3 and residents in that area, we're excited. We look forward to working and partnering with you. Welcome to Caddo Parish.
Thank you.
There's no other commissioners. Thank you so very much. Martinez.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. President Baker, we have an update from the Caddo Parish Support Authority. So we have Captain Murphy here today along with Eric England. As you know, we have Ms. Erica Bryant, who's the current president of the port. But Captain Murphy would like to give us an update. And Captain Murphy, would you like to come forward this time, please, sir? You should have a handout for you, commissioners, just passed out.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson.
Thank you, sir.
We're very proud of that, and thank you, commissioners, for the opportunity to be here this afternoon. These are exciting times for your commission as well as for the Caddo Parishes Port Commission. We are very proud of the work that you have done in bringing in jobs to this particular area, and as you know, this past year was a very successful year for the port. In the year 2012, our tonnage through the port was just over 1.1 million tons. Of this total, 583,000 were by barge and 533,000 tons by rail. This equals to 284 barges and 6,083 rail cars. If you were to put these 1.1 million tons of cargo the equivalent of 55,000 18-wheeler trucks. Our port offers to its customers barge, rail, and truck access, thus ensuring competitive rates for their transportation needs. Shipments to and through the port include commodities such as agricultural items, coal, steel coils, frac sand used in natural gas wells, scrap steel, and special oversized and overweight cargoes that are difficult to move by highway and interstate. As we begin 2013, we have over $38 million worth of capital projects to complete, both for existing and new operations. This includes the supporting infrastructure for the new Bentler steel facility, as well as improvements to the port roads, rails, and to our docks. With Ron Pack, our new tenant, construction of their 150,000 square foot manufacturing facility is complete, and operations have begun in this new building. In addition, the transition from their temporary building on the port site to their new building is also complete. In addition to that, to their manufacturing activities, Pack is also relocating their United States corporate headquarters from New Jersey to here at the port. We look for this transition to occur over the next 12-month period. And an official dedication is expected this spring, and you'll be notified of that. With Bentler, progress is being made, and the pace is unmatched by any we've seen in our history. We expect the environmental permits in April, and with this permit in hand, Lawridge, the general contractor, will be underway on the first of two phases of this 900,675 employee facility. Lawridge has already held a contractor outreach at the port and will be holding another one in the near term. There are two websites regarding the project. We'll be glad to furnish anyone these, just request to the port, will be passed on to, be glad to. We appreciate all of the Caddo Commission support on these projects and are proud to have you as our partner on these developments. Several events we're proud to have this past year was, for example, Dr. Warren Scott once again presented to the area the Louisiana Economic Outlook. We look to continue this again in 2013. In addition, we will ask that each of you mark your calendar for March the 5th, 6 p.m. for our annual Port Night event at the port itself in our administrative building, Regional Commerce Center. That is March the 5th, 6 p.m. Finally, we invite the Commission and your employee council back to the Regional Commerce Center for your future events. The event a few weeks ago was great. It was a lot of fun. We look forward to many more. You might want to consider a spring event in order to enjoy our open-air balcony. Do you have any questions for me or for Eric? Otherwise, that concludes our report.
Dr. Murphy, we have a couple of commissioners who would like to address you. Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just want to echo some of the enthusiasm and excitement that's going on in North Louisiana, also in South Louisiana as well, with the coming of the British is coming, the Germans are coming to Caddo Parish to bring all these economic opportunity to North Louisiana. I'm excited about the opportunity for local businesses to have the opportunity to maybe be potential contractors for the Bentler project. And also, I do want to encourage you to also partner with the African American Chamber of Commerce, because it's only going to get better when we look at being inclusive. We can't continue to have the have and the have-nots and don't include the minorities contractors here in Caddo Parish. I understand you have to have a general contractor around the town, but the contractor here have paid the taxes, have kept the Caddo Parish afloat, while everybody in the rest of the country have been hurting in America. So we need to be good stewards here and ensure that our local people have an opportunity to do business with the Bentlers here in North Louisiana. So with that in mind, you guys are the gatekeepers of the port, and we want to ensure, and I do want to look at what type of plan you have. We can't make anybody do it, but we can encourage them to use the local folks here that paid these taxes and provided these services that we here in Caddo Parish, that our citizens of Caddo Parish greatly appreciate. The local people that navigated and kept us afloat. We need to do something back in return for them. So while I'm excited and enthusiastic, but until I see the miracle era opportunity trickling down to people at the bottom, I would never be happy. Because oftentimes they don't hear. They don't come to the meetings. A lot of them don't watch the news, don't listen to the radio. But they need jobs. They need hope and they need opportunities. Especially in the district that I represent. They need a lot of help. And anybody can get a job, hopefully better quality of life, and hopefully that it will reduce crime. And when people are working, they feel good about themselves. Now, young people don't have to go to Dallas and Atlanta, but they can come here because there's hope and there's opportunity. And if the hope is only go to the same old people, you get the same old results. You get people leaving, you get people unemployment, you get people dropping out of school, you get people going to jail. But we have an opportunity to say, Bill is hiring. They hired all kinds of people and being inclusive. I think we can make a difference in Caddo Parish and Shreveport. So I would like for you to encourage them, and I'll be watching, I'll be listening, I'll be looking at the documentation, not your conversation, but your documentation about all you being inclusive over there. In the meantime, keep up the good work, and I'm very excited. Thank you for coming.
Commissioner Lynn?
Captain Murphy, Erica, thank you for all the good work that y'all do out there. Would you email to me the two web addresses for that, please? It's mlyn@caddo.org, and the rest of the commissioners may very well want that as well. You just take the liberty to do that. Thank you, Madam President. That's all. Thank you.
Commissioner Tudor?
Yeah, I was just curious, how many undeveloped acres are their support on?
I'll be glad to address that. We own 2,300 acres total, and there's, in its largest capacity, approximately 700 acres. Now, of course, depending on how it's subdivided, and that depends on who the particular tenant may be. And I'll give a case in point example, provide a little bit more clarity. We have an approximate 150-acre tract that could be leased in its entirety, or if it could be subdivided into two lesser-sized tracts, depending on roadway easements and all the other corridors that would have to be set aside for setbacks.
So you're saying there's 700 that are now occupied, or
700 available.
Available.
Right.
Okay.
You bet.
That's all. Thank you.
No, you didn't get me.
Oh, you were on that, then went away.
You went away. I just want to, first of all, Eric, thank you for all the work you do, and I want to thank Captain Murphy for his service. I knew he would bring a unique perspective to the port, being a retired seagoing captain who had actually sailed ships in every port of the world, which I don't know that many people can say. Maybe help them offloading those barges or something. I ran into your treasurer, Ernest Baylor Jr. this weekend, former representative, and he was telling me what a stand-up guy you were, and I didn't believe any of that, but when he got into the details about how you were able to help him with your experience, and I did believe that part of it. But anyway, he said he enjoyed working with you, and I think that it should be of note to all of us, if you haven't noticed, that Our other representative, Ms. Bryant, is serving as president. Captain Murphy is currently vice president. And I think it's significant that there's so much activity and movement going on when the leadership of the organization is on the right side of the river. Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you for your presentation, I appreciate it, sir. Madam President?
Yes.
I have one more item.
Okay.
In accordance with Ordinance 5185 of 2012, attached you will find at your stations a year-end expenditure report for the Caddo Parish Small and Emerging Business Initiatives. So if you have any additional questions, I'll be ready to entertain those questions for you. And we will set a meeting up with all the commissioners to talk about this program and what we have done in this past year in terms of making it better.
Any questions from any commissioners? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. That was my report for today.
Next we move to communiques and committee reports. Make note, please, term will be expiring for Mr. Harry Wiley of Lakeview Water Works District Board, March 17, 2013, and a letter from Captain Thomas F. Murphy requesting reappointment to the Caddo Port Commission, term to expire March 31st, 2013.
Thank you. You're smoking weed in there. Any? Go ahead, Commissioner Bowman.
Yes, under committee reports, the committee met at 2 o'clock today to discuss the administrator and commission clerk's evaluations. It's a very good, very productive meeting, and of course that information will be moved forward to the full body in the next couple of weeks. But it was a good meeting and very productive. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Williams.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I'd just like to let everyone know after Thursday meeting, the Juvenile Justice Committee will be meeting to map out our agenda for 2013. It'll be exactly after the meeting on Thursday. We'll be meeting. Number two, in front of you have the Gentlemen's Etiquette Academy by Swag Nation out of Texas will be kicking off their program on February the 21st, about 5:30. It'll be at 700 P Avenue Street. It'll be the kickoff of the program that many of you supported. Greatly appreciate those that supported to find an alternative to indecency in America and our country, to restore America's values and the American dream. Because we currently see that our young people are moving in the wrong direction throughout America. But I thank those commissioners who have the courage to support this project. We hope that it would benefit those kids that are court-ordered through the juvenile court system, and we look excited in bringing them before you so they can put their matters in motion as commissioned by in front of the judges also. So I just want to say public thank you for your support. Thank you.
I have a question.
Commissioner Bowman.
I was reading the flyer that you have. Got two questions. How do the young men know who to contact or how to sign up? I'm just reading what you have here, and I didn't see other than a P.O. box. Like what kind of phone number could be?
So this was just a flyer, but there will be another flyer coming during Thursday meeting. Actually, I would invite the staff at the meeting so you can ask those questions. That would be another flyer. That's just something that this commission body knows in terms of what phase we are in regards to the project. So the staff has been hired from Swag Nation. Also, at the Juvenile Justice meeting, we would meet the staff and they will tell you more information who the contact people are. So you get a chance to meet those with a face, with a name on Thursday. So appreciate you bringing that out.
Yeah, one of the reasons I want to know, there's some young men in my community that might be interested in signing up, or even, but, they all have cell phones, want to make calls and find out the information. I just didn't see a number for them to call. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dominic.
Is Mr. Dumashay here? Hey, James, come on up.
y'all got rid of the center block building on McLeod Road up in, between Odessa and Vivian?
No, sir.
Been tore down, they said it got tore down.
I've been dealing with the family. They chose to do it.
So they tore it down?
Yes, sir. I told them it was cheaper for them to do it than for me to have it contracted out.
I appreciate everything you've done. I've got a couple of calls and everybody thinking that, you know, you did a good job of getting it taken down, so you're helping me out, so I just appreciate you. Whatever you did to facilitate that.
We sent them a notification that they were in violation of parish ordinance.
It got took down, so I'm glad the parish didn't have to spend money, and you did your job, did it well. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir, because most of the letters that we send out, the people respond on the first or the second notice, so we have very few we have to bring to the Property Standards Board. But unfortunately, next month I will be bringing several cases to the Property Standards Board.
Thank you, Joy.
Any other commissioners? Commissioner Hart? Next item, please.
We'll move to old business. No old business for
I'm accepting the president's report. I just wanted to ask commissioners to join me in congratulating Mr. Dr. Woodrow Wilson in completing his doctorate in public administration, and all the hard work that he's done and put in forward to make that happen. So thank you very much. Let's give you a round of applause.
Play hard daily? Play hard daily? Yeah. Doesn't mean more money.
Take a job, keep me grounded in reality.
Yeah, I want to stay grounded and humble.
We'll just give him a resolution.
Yeah, how about that? He likes giving that. We'll give you what you like to give out about that. Resolution.
Thank you for showing the love.
Thank you all so much. Next item.
We have no old business, we move to new business. Zoning case of PLP 2112 in regard to ordinance 5287 2013. Property located on the northeasterly side of Elby Road, north of Golf Ridge Drive. Pasadena Real Estate LLC applicant, Byron Trust appellant.
Who's District 10?
Who's the
There'll be a public hearing on it.
This public hearing.
Okay. Next item.
We got a motion and a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Thibodeau, second by Commissioner Bowman. We'll move this item to Thursday. Are there any discussion? None, please vote. No, I'm thinking. No.
I didn't register. I voted yes. I'm here. Thank you. All this high-tech equipment.
Next item, please.
Authorizing introduction of ordinance 5288 of 2013. Repealing ordinance number 5281 of 2012 pertaining to proposed amendments to Caddo Parish Home Rule Charter.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Dominic, second by Commissioner Johnson. Are there any discussion? None, please vote.
We're moving to Thursday?
Yes.
Discussion on the
Say that again, Commissioner Wade. Yes, sir.
I'm moving to Thursday, we'll have a discussion then.
Okay. Next item, please.
Authorizing introduction of ordinance number 5289 of 2013 to revoke the dedication of a portion of Pines Road Extension in the Parish of Caddo.
Move to Thursday.
Moved by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Williams. Are there any discussion? None, please vote. Next item.
Authorizing introduction of ordinance 5290 of 2013 to revoke dedication of a portion of Pleasant Hills Road.
Move Thursday.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Thibodeau, second by Commissioner Johnson. Are there any discussion? If none, please vote. That passed.
Authorizing introduction of ordinance 5291 of 2013 declaring certain adjudicated properties to be surplus and authorize the parish administrator designate to sell tax interest.
So moved Thursday.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Epperson, second by Commissioner Bowman. Are there any discussion? None, please vote. That passes.
Authorize resolution number 7, 2013, notice of intention to construct and improve the water line within the right-of-way portion of Wells Island Road with Moats Island Circle.
Madam Chair, I'd like to offer a substitute motion.
Commissioner Williams.
I'd like to authorize that we amend the oil and gas fund to fund the Wells Island Road project. If I can get a second.
Second.
And may I have the floor and speak of why I'm saying that?
Yes.
First of all, after I had the opportunity to read the current ordinance that was crafted before I got here, it was designed mostly for a residential area with no future development. The 90-10 plan would work for a residential area, not a commercial area. You know how we got here. What started off as a rescue mission efforts, humanitarian efforts, because of what Analytical had done to the residents and the business in that area was wrong. But how do you turn a negative into a positive? After researching, I talked to a former attorney, a person who worked in the Attorney General's office. Now he's in private practice. He shared with me that after reviewing the charter, that we was perfectly in our guidelines to do a public-private partnership with private investors. So I was looking at our charter and looking at most of the industrial parks across our parish, and I was interested in maybe providing Wells Island Road as an industrial park, as a partnership with a free enterprise zone with tax incentives. And let me tell you why. Many of you asked that the residents and the business owners sign a petition. 61%, they exceeded that with 72% of most of the business owners up there signed that petition. And many of them have the ability to build their own wells. But if you're going to invest into a particular community and you're going to attract new entry in commercial development, that most people come there wanting to know that are they going to get some good clean water. Secondly, they paid over $600,000 in taxes. Now I know all that don't go to us. But we all in this thing together, whether you're school board, city, or parish. Our community benefited from those taxes. Secondly, in the master plan, that area is zoned for B1, business commercial area. Now you know, our policy, MPC, is outdated and it needs an upgrade. We need to look at the future of what the master plan has in it, and they have that area as being a developed area, as a business area, a commercial area. Secondly, let's look at all the tax revenue and jobs that would be created if we have an incentive to attract new industry in I think it's about 100 undeveloped tract of land up there that could be subdivided in different parts as well. I talked to all the business people there. They have made a commitment for us. Now let's navigate them through this process. And many of you haven't even had the opportunity to visit up there. It's a well-kept secret. It's like a pearl in a cloud. We found a pearl down there. Well, Analytical shine the light on in something negative, and we can turn it into a positive. Be very inclusive. We talk about jobs and economic development and business opportunities. A couple of the business people are in the audience, they're here. And I think this is different from your current policy that you crafted, because those other areas don't have potential growth because they was residential. This is a commercial area that has a few houses, a few. We shouldn't forget about the poor and underprivileged and those that don't fix income. I don't think nothing should be free, but there should be a fair fee. And we need to consider what happened and how this is totally different from what we currently have here. And look at it as an investment opportunity with the undeveloped area, that with the unified code coming, and we can upgrade those codes. We don't have these type of commingling with residential and commercial side by side. So with those matrix that I just laid out for you. And if we need to ask, I would ask that you come up, Mr. I'm going to ask you some questions regarding that project. I hope that my colleague would look at it as an investment, create an enterprise zone, public-private partnership. It's only $265,000, but what will we get back in return? We can almost maximize from $600,000 to almost doubling, tripling that, if we look at it that way. In that scope, in that scene, we can do that. We just did it for the port. We had a vision, and it worked. Nobody knew the Red River was going to be like it is now. Dirty old red turned into an economic engine, tourism and entertainment. We had a vision, and we followed that vision. The economic engine for this parish has been the oil and gas industry. Whoever thought that we would be the hub of America without oil and gas? And look what they have done for our economy and our community. So I'm saying, if the dirty red can do what it do, and we had a vision, and the port can do what it do, and the other parks can do what they do, let's give Wells Island Road an opportunity to do what they can do. And we all, we're business people. This is good, wise business sense. It's totally different from what you have. And I ask for your support, and I ask for your vote. Would you like to make any comments, sir?
Well, Commissioner Williams, we had 5 minutes to speak.
I have to be extended to hear from one of the developers up there.
51 seconds left in your 5 minutes. So, he has just 44 seconds to speak.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Al Theriak. I'm the broker and owner of Eureka Go Real Estate. It's good to be here. I live on Wells Island Road. Mr. Bowman, our prayers are with you, and it's good to see Charles, my old friend and old neighbor. Our kids were raised together. I live on Wells Island Road, and I start by telling you all my clients, the last thing I tell them is call me if you need me. And I must have told Michael that and Mr.
Board, isn't it?
Yeah. Because they called me and asked me to get these 61% of the signatures. We exceeded that. Everyone we talked to signed it. Some of them I couldn't get a hold of. But we've got the signatures. We've got the people that want this water down here under any circumstance. But there are people who just can't afford 90%. They just can't do it. I knocked on one door, got a signature, and this gentleman had to borrow $2,000 for his work as well. And this is the kind of people you're dealing with. They go paycheck to paycheck. So your help will be deeply appreciated. Like the commissioner said, we have a jewel down there. There's tens of thousands of square feet of empty warehouses down there. This is 10 minutes from where we're at right here. And there's probably 20,000 square feet of office space down there that can be cleaned up and remodeled for this. And it's just sitting there. And without your help, I think it'll sit there for years and just eventually dilapidate and fall down. So your help will be appreciated. I'll answer any questions you have, but other than that, we've got people that need you. And I will say that the 90% they can't afford and wouldn't sign. They can't afford 90% of the $250,000. 90%, and all the lot down there, I'll pay $8,000. Drill a well for $4,000. I'm on the well now, but.
Thank you,
You have a
Mr.
question?
No, sir, thank
Thank
you. Commissioner Land?
I have a question. And so you're the real estate broker for the Wells Island area?
No, I live on Wells Island
You
Road.
live on Wells Island.
They just happened to pick me.
Okay.
I told them I'd do it.
And you have a business there, or your home?
My
your home
office
estate?
actually is in Bossier.
Okay.
When we started looking for offices north, up and down North Market, we couldn't find anything, so we had to go to Bossier to find us an office. This was 8 or 10 years ago. I've lived there 15 years.
So your share of the $250,000 would have been $8,000, and you were able to drill a well for $4,000?
I'm on a community well right now. There's about 5 of us on a little community well down there.
And so it was 4,000 divided by 5?
No, I would drill I'm planning to build a home down there. I was told I had to drill my own well, and I can drill a well for 4,000. And the 90%, I would have to pay 8,000, and I couldn't do that but that's,
Okay, all right.
people like me, not the problem, it's people who just can't afford it.
Yes, sir.
That's it.
The people that live there, now granted, you own your property, do the majority of the people that can't afford it, do they own their land, or do they,
Yes.
are they renting?
No, they've been down there for years and years and years and years. That road used to go all the way through to the airport, if you remember.
I have been through there, yes.
Yeah.
And then, okay, I was under the understanding that there were 2 people that rented, and that there weren't that many people that actually lived there, that it was commercial and residential. Do you know the breakdown? How many people? How many residents are there versus business?
Sure, there's 1, 2, 3.
Mr. Ward can come up here. And
There's about 20 homeowners down there.
I don't mean to put you on the spot for statistics like this. There's another man I can put on the spot for statistics.
Commissioner, we have 13 houses and about 22 businesses.
So there's 13 residences
That's correct.
and 14 business?
22 businesses.
22 business. And have all the businesses already drilled wells?
All have water wells except 2.
So all businesses except 2 already have water wells?
That's correct.
And of the residences, how many are owner occupied and how many are rental?
There's a 1 5-unit apartment complex, and the rest of them are pretty much owner occupied. And of that, there's 2 houses, 2 residents that will not have water either. Everybody else has figured out how to get to a well.
So everybody has figured out how to get to a well except for 2 residences?
And 2 businesses.
And 2 businesses.
One of the businesses is prepared to drill their own well anytime.
So the 2 people that have not figured out, they are homeowners?
Yes.
Bless you.
Is it a mobile, or is it stationary, or?
One's a mobile home and one is a long-standing house, been there for many decades.
Thank you, Mr. Ward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Thibodeau.
Yeah, I think this went before the Natural Resources Committee, and in that meeting, the number 600,000 in property taxes was brought up, and I asked for information, a breakdown, and never did get that.
Yes. Kim?
I mean, I wanted it in writing.
I have no idea about those taxes.
Commissioner, we did do a breakdown. The property that's assessed out there is about $6 million. The taxes to Caddo Parish in whole, all of the units, was about $630,000, and about 8.5% of that is what actually goes to us. So we're looking at about $60,000 a year to the parish, but the majority of that goes to the school board.
And is that all property tax?
That's all property tax, yes, sir.
Okay.
There were some other taxes in there, we didn't count those, so, of the $637,000 was all property taxes. That already excluded the 2 fire district taxes that they pay.
Okay. And, Mr. Webb, using public money to improve private property is against state law, isn't it?
As a general statement, yes, sir.
Well, in this situation, is it against the law?
Well, let me put it this way. The work that would be done, if we paid for the water lines themselves, in the main, would not be done on the private property. They would be done in public rights-of-way, as I understand it. But the entire motivation, if you will, of the project would be to enhance these private properties that by giving them a different water source. And it appears to me, basically tracking the Attorney General's opinion's reasoning, that would be a gratuitous donation under state law, which means that it's not a lawful expenditure of public funds.
All right. Madam President, mind if I ask Mr. Williams a question?
Yes, go ahead.
You said that this could be a public-private partnership. Well, the public part of this would be, if we were to do this, would be the $250,000 that we would put up. What are the private, what are they putting up?
Well, we could look at the potential.
I just don't know what are they putting up? Are they going to transfer their property to us?
Well, they have already put up. They go, like you do on your, on this particular 9010, you have to dedicate the right of way.
No, we've already got the right of way. What I'm saying is, are they going to dedicate to us a portion of their property or a portion of the ownership of their property? When you have a partnership, that means both parties give something. If we go in our current right of way and we lay water pipes, then we put up $250,000. What are the private individuals going to give us that would be equal to $250,000?
In the context you just made, they have already given to us in regards to when they didn't uppull ship and leave better, and then they stayed here and paid taxes. Now,
but you can't spend that. Well, I mean, I'm saying if we have a legitimate agreement, then the private parties would have to give us something worth $250,000 for it to be truly a partnership.
Well, I think it's a small investment for what they have already paid. Even over the years, you would have calculated what they paid to the entire parish. It's a very, very small investment with potential growth. If we were to improve the property value, also improve the property value, would give you a higher assessment. And when people do want to locate in that particular area, they don't want to be on well water. They want good, clean drinking.
I understand. I'm just saying, if you have a true partnership, then they would have to put something up, and you're saying that they're...
Partnership will always mean up front. You can pay me now or you can pay me later. If we were to have a vision and think about the potential, because everything I recited earlier didn't give us anything, but they gave us potential. But the potential growth that Wells Island Road can have is what I'm banking on. And everything we do is pretty much good, wise investment. And based on what I researched, working with Mr. Ward, working with the MPC, is that there are more property owners that took the lead and signed the petition. You would think they would be afraid of annexation and all that, but they was very motivated. And they felt like we had forgot about them. A lot of them felt like they were forgot about. If it had not been for analytical, we wouldn't be in the situation that we are today. They knew that there was a jewel, a pearl, in the Wells Island Road initiative, that we can also provide a free enterprise zone and provide some tax incentives to locate some people there to increase our tax base, create some jobs opportunity. You can pay me now or you can pay me later.
Okay.
That's mine.
All right, that leads to my next question, which is, and I'll ask Mr. Ward, I guess, when 61% or whatever the percentage, it says I have obtained the signatures of 72% of the landowners. When they signed, what did they think they were signing for? Didn't they know what the parameters, how the ordinance operate? What were they signing for?
That's correct. I really couldn't speak. I can tell you that I addressed the residents out there for the 9010, and I left it at that, and Mr. Thiak could probably speak a little more about what their expectations were.
I had to let these people know that it was a preliminary petition, and that's all it is, and that the legal will come later, and that we were in hopes of getting the 90% significantly reduced.
All right, so this petition was really a petition of interest, showing that there was interest, but that they were not agreeing to what the current ordinance.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Well, based on what I've heard today, the two biggest, meaning that all we have right now is interest, and secondly, that it's illegal, it's against state law to do this. I guess there's probably a way to do it. I guess if you had a public-private partnership where both sides gave something up, then perhaps that would be different. But I would suggest to my colleagues that we not move this to Thursday until such time as we can get, number one, an agreement that is within the law and something that both parties are getting something out of. Right now, this is a one-sided situation. I was just not moving it. If it moves to Thursday and were to pass in its current form, then what would happen is that would force our public works people to have to go ahead and spend money on design and all that, and then we would find out, in fact, that it is against the law. We would have spent money for no reason. So I'm recommending that we not pass this at this particular time.
Are you finished,
I'm finished.
Commissioner Dominic?
Okay, but it went to the Natural Resource Committee, it was 90-10 based upon ordinances, that's how it's set. To change that, we'd have to change the ordinance, I would assume, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so that's number one. Number two, I guess that I will ask this Mr. Theriak a question real quick. Let me ask you, Ken, where's the petition? We don't have a copy of the petition, do we? I mean...
I do, I have it in my phone.
Does it say 90-10?
It does, at the bottom, in order to break out the cost per linear footage, so everybody was clear.
It says 90-10 on the petition on the side, so I mean, we're taking this, if that's what y'all wanted, a 90-10, I mean, we're getting this petition, this is how this works, I mean, if y'all are not agreeing to a 90-10, then I'm like Mr. Thibodeau, I can't see how we can move this forward, because I'm sitting here saying a resolution that y'all have agreed to the 90-10. That's what the Natural Resources Committee, you're shaking your head, sir, I mean, but I guess you're saying what you said a while ago, that y'all are doing it on a preliminary.
Right.
But what y'all signed, this says 90-10,
No.
It doesn't say that?
It does.
You stand up and you can. It doesn't say 90-10?
It does say that, it does say 90-10, but it's preliminary, and I was telling...
Is it preliminary?
Yes, it said...
Does it say preliminary?
Yes, it's a preliminary 90-10.
Commissioner, what normally happens, we do a preliminary to see what the interest is out there at a 90-10. We're never going to hide the percentages. That's exactly what our ordinance says, is 90-10. So we put that out there for everybody to see. We break it down per cost per linear foot of a roadway. And then exactly what it is, it's a preliminary. It's who's interested in it. If you got more than 61%, Commissioner Thibodeau mentioned earlier that what would happen now if y'all move this forward, as of Friday, we'll start preparing the final petition as well as the document for annexation in the city. And then we'll go out there with Mr. Theriak or whoever and try to get those petitions. And if we don't get 61% at that time, it dies again. So we really need to make sure that we have 61% comfortably before we go forward, going forward, because we start spending money and start preparing designs.
I don't know if spend money. It seems like y'all need to get 61% based on 90-10.
Exactly.
But Mr. Theriak, you're saying that's not what the people are wanting. They're wanting less.
I don't believe so. And as far as the engineering report, there's a company there, a pump company, that has spent tens of thousands of dollars on engineering report already, that is willing to let you use theirs.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Ward would be happy to look at it, but, as a public entity, there's rules and regulations and things like that we have to go by and do things on our own. So, I'm kind of like Commissioner Thibodeau, unless, the Natural Resources Committee decided to change it from something else, but we've already talked about that. The committee, if I remember correctly, said stay at the 90-10, so. That's correct. Anyway, I don't have anything other right now.
Commissioner Escaday?
Mr. Ward, is the word preliminary used anywhere by the 90-10 formula so as it could be construed to think that was flexible or negotiable?
No.
Okay. So it was our standard offer that we offer to citizens. That was the thing. It was circulated to gauge preliminary interest.
That's correct.
Preliminary is not a thing. Okay. So it appears based on what this gentleman said and the people there, that the resolution that was prepared for us today that is not on the floor is something that they don't want because it's 90-10. And it also appears that if we take up the resolution that's on the floor, we could move it to Thursday and pass it, and it's not going to happen anyway because it's the illegal use of public funds. So I don't know where that leads us. Thank you.
Commissioner Epperson.
Mr. Will, when you say it appears as though from previous Attorney General's opinions that this would be an illegal use of public funds, what if, say we had a tornado, a severe ice storm, it did tremendous damage to the parish, wouldn't we be allowed to use parish equipment and resources to go in order to help out in the good and safety of the citizens? And I can't see anything as important as clean, sanitary drinking water. And we're saying we're taking in $600,000. The bulk of that going to the school board, 8.5% is going to us, which is about $66,000 a year. In 10 years, that'll be $660,000 to us. And I just think that, I think that would be something that could pass muster under the Constitution, that we could spend tax dollars for. Number one, it's going to enhance an area. And I mean, we're sitting on all of these resources, millions in reserves, all this oil and gas money, which is the people's money. And what project would not be worthy of a meager $265,000 to put ample, fresh, sanitary, clean, consistent drinking water to those people within that area, which would enhance that area considerably as far as if there's some more land for residential areas, it would probably grow and improve. There's a business climate certainly there to grow. And I just don't think it'll be a problem constitutionally if we made that grant. So I would like for us to go forward with stating that we will contribute to $265,000, whatever's necessary to get that project going within that community for those citizens. And in the meantime, you can check with the Attorney General again, but I just don't think that that's any difference than a national disaster or something major coming up. And it certainly will be a prudent use of tax dollars, even if it come out of economic development. You know what I mean? We spent, what, $500,000 with LSUS on a computer animation program, which, I don't know how many people's enrolled in the class. $500,000, $500,000, we have to have a hell of a lot of graduates contributing a hell of a lot to pay back $500,000. We gave Southern $125,000 to increase awareness of the aeronautical and space program, which we look at these entities and the nursing program. These are entities that are supposedly state funded. And we look at the government and all of them 99, they're cutting the hell out of higher education. I just don't think it will be an illegal contribution toward our citizens. The money is ample, and I think we should go forward with it. And, Attorney General, you want to do something, that's his business. We taking care of our citizens with clean, healthy, sanitary drinking water, which will enhance an area economically, commercially, and residentially. That's all I have.
Did you want to ask this question?
Well, Commissioner, your question about or point about the natural disaster is a good question, and I happen to have read in the last couple of working days at least one Attorney General's opinion. It was written in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, which in the middle of all that tragedy, the Attorney General said that it was such a mess that you couldn't really distinguish between public property and private property. So the Attorney General basically gave some opinion that in that kind of context, it was lawful to go on the private property. I'll also say there's no question that the properties, particularly the residences out there that don't have water now, that they've got to do something to get potable water. And there's no question that there's a direct benefit to them if we do, for them to get water. But what the Attorney General has held is that a direct benefit to certain private landowners and an indirect benefit to the general public. In that situation, the Attorney General's office says that the general public does not have a demonstrable, objective, and reasonable expectation of receiving at least equivalent value in exchange for the expenditure or transfer of public funds. Now, if we could help this property out there along the lines that Commissioner Williams is contemplating in terms of economic development, if, for example, there was someone that wanted to put a business in out there and say they committed to employ 50 people. We do this kind of stuff all the time, where if somebody comes to us with an economic development project and they're committing to employ so many people for such and such a period of time, well, now you're starting to get a benefit to the general public that justifies the expenditure of funds. So I'm not saying we couldn't ever enter into the kind of thing that Commissioner Williams is talking about in terms of a cooperative endeavor type arrangement, but I do think it's illegal under the Constitution as interpreted by the Attorney General to do prospective improvements to people's private property with public funds. The last thing I want to say while I'm at it, Commissioners, is, as I understand Commissioner Williams' motion, it's to, in effect, do the project with oil and gas funds rather than through the 90-10 process. This is a resolution that's on your agenda today. Just procedurally, if you're going to do it with oil and gas funds, that requires an ordinance to appropriate the money. So you, procedurally, if you're going to do that, I think it would require the introduction of an ordinance at your next meeting. You can't convert the resolution to an ordinance. The bottom line is, I'm not saying that under no circumstances could the parish ever participate in the construction of the line. But I just think that it's got to serve a public purpose along the line of actual creation of jobs or something like that under the Attorney General's guidance.
Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to comment, one thing that I heard about was that the Natural Resource Committee voted to do the 90-10, and basically that's just a recommendation from that committee, but this body still has to move on that particular issue. They could disagree with that committee's recommendation. I think one thing that we need to look at, and Charles, you might be able to answer this, and I'm not sure if the questions that have been asked before is the same as what I'm about to ask. Can you put the infrastructure, the main water lines in for that particular area with government money? Now, if businesses want to tie into it, which you mentioned about economic development of someone saying that if they hired so many people and all that. But if you got 22 businesses, that means they have some number of people employed over a period of years that they've been in business. So can you put the main lines in, and then if those businesses and residents wanted to tie into it, then they would pay to tie into the main lines? That's a question.
Commissioner Johnson, let me try to answer your question two ways. First of all, I don't want to sit here and say, based upon hypothetical facts, this line could never be put in under the justification of economic development. But what I'm told now is that all of those 22 businesses except 2 already have a source of water that's satisfactory to them, and a third is contemplating, one of those remaining 2 is contemplating drilling a well, and the other one can too. So, you know, there could be some facts that would indicate that in order to save these jobs, it was necessary, the jobs that are in those 22 businesses, I mean, you could speculate some facts that would say, in order to save those jobs, it would be justified to construct the line, but those are just, as far as I know, they're just hypothetical facts right now, because what I've been told is that the businesses, with the exception of the two that we're talking about, or the one we're talking about, have, either have water or have viable alternatives to water now.
Okay. Well, basically my question is, can the parish actually build the infrastructure for the water, the main lines going through there? I mean, that's not on private property, that's actually in the right of ways. So.
And again, I'm not trying to evade your question. I'm not saying that there's not some facts out there that wouldn't justify us doing it, that would meet the test. But I'm not aware of the facts today. I mean, if the facts, for example, were that we had to build this line, or the parish is going to lose 300 jobs.
Well, forget about the jobs. We're just saying the infrastructure, putting in the water line, putting in the main line going through, not connecting any line to any of the businesses, not connecting any lines to the residents. Can we, as a public body, put in this main water line, main water lines? Legally. Because you talked about what we can't do by law, so I'm asking, can we put this?
Based upon what I understand the facts to be, my answer would be no, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
That's it. Commissioner Lynn.
It was brought up that it would create an increased tax base by doing this. Are the business owners and the residents, are they comfortable being annexed by the city of Shreveport? Has that option been looked at for a water source? Has Mr. Ward, did everybody say yay or nay? Or?
Well, they were told, everybody was informed that they, in order to sign the petition, they will have to sign. In order, the city, in order to, we could, if we got approval, we could place the water line, we could do all the work, but if, before somebody taps onto that water line and creates an account with the city of Shreveport, they're going to have to have a petition to be annexed in. So in order to utilize that water, they'll have to do that. I think the percentage of the 72% of the votes is about 50-50, if I'm not mistaken, about willingness to be signed on. But at the same time, you know, when they need water, it's there, and then I think they would sign on.
If the city of Shreveport annexed this neighborhood in, wouldn't the city of Shreveport be obligated to provide them with water?
You're exactly right, but in my conversations with the city, they're not too excited about annexation in that area due to the providing of services, fire department, trash,
but they're already within the center of the city, and all those services are already surrounding.
Well, the infrastructure for sewer would have to be installed, and the infrastructure of maintaining the roads, you know, providing trash pickup to an already exhausted, you know, trash system that they have. They're, from what I understand from the city folks, that they're not too interested in that.
If 100% of the population of that neighborhood signed on to be annexed in, is the city in any way, pardon me, I'm asking you a legal question, or Charles Grubb, you might answer, is the city obligated to annex them in?
No, sir, but if they annex them in, they're obligated to extend all municipal services to them, either immediately or have a plan for extending those services to them within a finite time.
And should we ever decide to provide them with water, is the city obligated to reimburse the parish for the water lines that we've already installed?
No, sir. If we built the line, it would be built to city standards, and the city would in effect accept the donation of the line into its system, so it would become its property. The operating water line is really a liability, because once it's built, you have to maintain it. So what would happen is we would end up donating the line to the parish, to the city.
Okay, all right. That's all, Madam President. Thank you.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. There's been a lot said about this project. I think Commissioner Epperson brought it home very clearly. And oftentimes our legal department, sometimes their opinion weighs on certain things, and we need to do a better job in that. And that's why I went on the outside and got an opinion from a former Attorney General who worked in the office, who read the charter, who I read the charter to him, said, anytime you can increase the property value with the potential of losing jobs, people may uproot and leave. They may uproot and leave. But they didn't do that. They stayed. They paid the taxes. So all of us can benefit from what's going on up there. It would increase the property value. They weren't takers, they were makers. They're up and finding jobs right now. If we were to improve that situation up there, it would create more jobs and more opportunity and more taxes. What part of it is simple math, simple numbers. We're not doing anything illegal. We already have industrial power that we do partnerships with. This is not residential. Based on B1, it's a B1, it's a business. Our code needs to be changed and upgraded. Our policies are outdated. That's why we're in the situation that we're in. Yes, this is something that was brought to attention by a catastrophic situation. When you have people that are being evicted, and the businesses would have been evicted if they couldn't afford the water wells. But everybody that wants to do business, they don't really want to be on water wells, the people that I talk to. They would rather be on water. A water line is already there, already right away, already there. Potentially they can say, because the city and Parish don't want to do business with us, we're going to uproot and leave. They can do that. Are we good corporate citizens? Are we really open for business? But since it's not in my district, we're going to find a reason not to support it. Well, let's find some reason to support it. We wouldn't have the riverboats here if we didn't have potential of the outcome that may happen. They're here. The red is here, and it's making a whole lot of money. It's been the engine of tourism of the whole state. But with potential growth. To say it illegal is wrong. For economic development is wrong in Shreveport. It's wrong. When you have economic development to improve something is wrong. And it's already on a commercial, and this 9010 was written for residential, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, not commercial development. This is a B1, commercial, business, with a few residents up there that want to have some clean water tied into the parish and the city of Shreveport. They're providing jobs and taxes. This is a capital investment. We should be able to recoup our money from analytical, have a silver suit to try to recoup our money. But I'm having a serious problem with our legal department when it comes to certain commissioners and certain issues. The opinion always leaning another way. There's not enough research done in certain things. I'm having a serious problem and debate about that. That's why I went on the outside and have my own attorneys do something. Before I even brought it up here, I made sure it was ethical and it was right. Because I knew you're going to ask those questions, and he's going to lean toward your way most of the time. The record will reflect that since I've been here. So I would ask that let's move forward. Let's not delay. The reason why it was on the agenda, gentlemen, is because the people have signed the petition 72%. So we didn't want to stop progress. Let's move forward. That's why it was on the agenda. They have made a significant commitment on Wells Island Road to stay here and hang tough and pay the tax, provide the job for people that live here. And they buy houses and they pay taxes. They pay tax. The people that employ, they pay tax and they buy houses. They buy property. They buy real estate. But if we were not to do something, they may consider leaving. I don't want that on my hands when I make my vote today. Because I believe we are open for business. We've been good stewards of the taxpayers' money. We have made wise decisions. We can find a reason for not to do it, but let's find a reason, what I just said, to do it. And I ask that you would reconsider, based on what's been said in this room, to support this, and let's move forward. And I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. I'd just like to say, ask a question. Mr. Bruck, we have an Attorney General's opinion on the project.
Could you have one?
Do we have one?
Well, I mean, the Attorney General's opinion's on the issue, but if the commission wanted an opinion based upon the specific facts presented by the Wells Island Road situation, we could write off for one. It would take a specific,
How long will it take to get one?
well, y'all aren't meeting again for a month, so maybe, I mean, I would do my best to have it back within the month. In order to do it, I have to have something in the minutes directing me to do it, because the Attorney General will only render opinions requested by public bodies or specific public officials.
Okay. Commissioner Williams.
Like a motion to expand the agenda, Madam Chair, to include that, what the attorney has laid out for us to get this before the Economic Development Committee. And at such time, well, I guess we can make a decision on to move forward with this project.
What about the Attorney General's opinion?
With economic development, we prohibit them from doing economic development to provide infrastructure for jobs, create jobs and opportunities for a B1 business district. They don't prohibit us from providing this infrastructure to save jobs and to increase jobs and provide taxes and tax revenue.
A motion on the floor.
Well, you already got a motion. Have a motion, second, I don't know what we're talking about.
There's already a motion.
Mr. Grubb, we need a motion for you to get an Attorney General's opinion. We could just,
I cannot get one without the minutes reflecting that this body has asked me to get it. I just can't write off for it on my own. They would administratively reject it. I have to do it on behalf of the body.
okay, thank you.
A lot of stuff over here.
Okay, Commissioner Evans.
Even if this property is annexed in the city, any property that's in the city pays both city and parish taxes. Am I correct?
That's right.
Okay, so, hey, you still gonna get, I guess, at least 8.5% of what they've been doing. Just want to make that clear, remember that. And also here, we are dealing with committee work that should have been basically done in committee. Now, are there minutes of the proceedings of that Natural Resource Committee? Have they been presented?
They were sent out, yes.
No, but I'm talking about, yeah, we're talking about sent out. Minutes of any proceedings that any public elected body goes to should be brought back and should be at least adopted by the body, not sent out individually, because we sitting up here now, everybody well, I thought we said this in the meeting. Those minutes, when the committee reports come up, those minutes should be ready, and the chair of that particular committee should state that these are the proceedings that went on in that particular committee. We can peruse them, and somebody should make a motion in a second to receive them. And everyone will have a copy before them in the event that a question comes up. And that needs to happen. We here going through committee work right at this time. So I wish somebody call for the question on the motion.
Commissioner Thibodeau.
I call for the question.
Second. Call for the question. I don't need a second. Second by Commissioner Dominic. Please vote on calling for the question. That passes. Now, you're gonna go ahead and vote on the substitute motion that we had. Now, it's long. What is it?
The substitute motion, substitute motion was by Ms. Williams, second by Mr. Epson, to utilize $265,000 from the oil and gas fund to fund the Wells Island Road project.
Who was that from?
Mr. Williams made the motion.
Economic development. You didn't put that in.
Okay. And seconded by Mr. Epperson.
It's what now?
To utilize $265,000 from the oil and gas fund for economic development to fund the Wells Island Road project.
Thank you.
Moved by Commissioner
May I get a point of information, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Maybe we should state that this motion should be to amend resolution number 7 to fund the Wells Island project, $265,000 from the Riverboat, from the oil and gas fund. Also to prepare an ordinance contingent maybe upon an opinion from the Attorney General's. I think we kind of, how did that sound?
Say that again.
We call for the, I don't think we can we do that?
I'll do it later. He called for the question. We could have added it on before that, though.
Oh, okay. But no, she was trying to get a clarification on the motion, so we are voting on the motion now, see? And I was just making sure that...
Got to clean it up a little.
Well, that wasn't in the original motion, everything that he's...
That's what I was trying to do. The question's been called for, right? It was unanimous, right? It got to be at least 2/3. So now we're getting ready to vote.
Asking to amend his amendment.
Right, I wanted to make sure, because see, you were kind of,
Yeah.
you didn't understand, so I wanted to make sure we had it kind of cleaned up. That's the way I interpret it.
We need to vote on the motion. Right. Vote that was called for, unamended, the motion he made that was seconded. That's where we're at now.
Is that it, Charles?
Yes, ma'am, I think once the question's been called, you have to vote on the motion,
Okay.
as it's been previously stated.
Okay, let's vote on the motion.
Yeah, that's it. That's why I said amended.
That fails.
So we always
Ready, wait now?
For-
gotta be set, wait now.
How many have that motion, just requires a majority of those present, so that motion actually passed.
That advanced.
The Thursday.
That's right. Next order.
That's the Thursday, right?
Yeah, it advances to Thursday.
Fine, we'll just deal with it Thursday. We'll sit and do all this crap again.
Ain't no crap. Everybody got issues. Certain people stuff not crap.
What's your problem, man?
Point of order.
Point of order.
Does it take 7 votes, or does it take a majority of who's president? Which one, of who's president? Which one does it take?
To pass, under the charter, to enact an ordinance or resolution requires 7 votes. But that only applies to the passage of ordinances and resolutions. So anything else only requires a majority vote, a quorum being had. So in this case, there's 9 of y'all, so a 5-4 vote, the motion would pass.
Meaning that it moves to Thursday?
Because it wasn't. I'm not clear what was a resolution?
Because that's not what the motion was.
It had to be, because it was a substitute motion on a resolution, so it had to be a resolution.
Clerk needs to.
It was a substitute motion on resolution. Right. But the motion was not to move it to Thursday. That's not what the motion on the floor was.
No, it wasn't.
We had a substitute motion to replace the one that was on it. I just want to know what it is, that's all.
That's understandable that we advance it to Thursday.
We can't vote on anything.
Commissioner.
I'm trying to advance it to Thursday.
It's advanced to Thursday.
And you can't pass nothing today, no, you just advance to Thursday.
That's right.
Point of order, but it's a resolution. He amended the resolution. You're saying the resolution takes 7, correct?
Not to move it, not to move it forward for
The
consideration.
resolution will require 7 votes on Thursday.
Okay, I got you.
Okay, Commissioner Lynn.
And as well, this can't go through under a resolution because you have to have an ordinance to pull money out of the riverboat gaming, and so it doesn't really matter if it's a yes or a no. However, if y'all will allow me to do this, I would like to expand the agenda to ask.
We go to the next deal, you expand the agenda at the top of the, right, at the top of the meeting. You can do that Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to do it to ask Mr. Grubb to research this to see if it was legal, but that's all right, I can wait. Thank you.
Well, we know what that gonna mean, so.
Commissioner Clark.
We have consent agenda.
I'm about to get a hold of
Move to adjourn.
I'm sick of this.
Move to adjourn, we adjourn.
I'm about to get you another. I'm sick of this. Every time you come up, you come with all that, yeah, I'm sick of this. I mean,
How you doing,
I
man?
got nothing to say to you, man.